Hi everybody, today I'm going to be reacting to top 10 terrifying monsters of Doctor Who. Hope you guys like it. Here we go.
Forget in the closet and under the bed, we've got all of space and time.
They're deadly. What do you want with them?
Welcome to Watch Mojo UK, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 terrifying monsters in Doctor Who. Before we begin, if you enjoy this video, please subscribe for more great content. For this list, we've gathered some of the greatest villains to ever terrorise the TARDIS, and ranked the scariest, spookiest, and most disturbing of all the Doctor's enemies.
Tell me the whole plan! One day that'll work.
Number 10, Davros. As creator of an apparently endless army of emotionless cyborg aliens, Davros has terrified generations of Who fans.
I didn't really watch Yes, that's why I didn't like this.
The Daleks are easily the most famous of the Doctor's foes, and their robotic refrains are a nightmare soundtrack to some of the Time Lord's tensest battles. The scare factor has waned slightly with time, but Davros remains as creepy a Commander-in-Chief as you could ever wish to meet.
I will destroy you and demonstrate the power of the Daleks!
Withered with immense age and barely alive, he's best recognised by a single cybernetic eye smack in the middle of his forehead.
It is only fitting that you should bear witness to the resurrection and the triumph of Davros.
Number 9, Vashta Nerada.
Yeah, that's scary.
DW writers are famed for turning even the most mundane aspects of life into something potentially savage. In this case, it's shadows.
This is not a shadow. It's a swarm. A man-eating swarm.
Described by the Doctor as piranhas of the air, Vashta Nerada are tiny specks of dust, but when they swarm together, they can instantly melt flesh and kill people. Featured prominently in the 4th series episode, Silence in the Library, the only way to deal with an infestation is to stay within the light.
Doesn't move very fast, does it?
It's a swarm in a suit. But it's learning.
Which is easier said than done when you're surrounded by rows and rows of ancient towering bookshelves.
Oh, that ended though.
Number 8, The Silence.
Yeah, Silence scared me.
I see you.
You might think that a face like this is difficult to forget, but that's exactly the power that the Silence possesses. With a look inspired by Edvard Munch's The Scream, the Silence is a religious order which has plagued humanity for centuries.
This world is ours. We have ruled it since the wheel and the fire.
But everyone's oblivious because it's impossible to remember them. With electrokinetic
Like
powers and the ability to reduce anyone to ash at a moment's notice, the Silence have supposedly engineered all of human history without us realizing.
Behind you.
Honey, there is nothing.
I don't like they're dancing or something.
Which means you might have already seen them today. Maybe
No,
they're
don't
right
do
behind
that.
you
Don't
right
do
now.
that. No.
Number 7, Midnight Entity. As a rule, anything which worries the Doctor is something worth worrying about.
Okay,
and
so
this
I'm
thing
one of the
had
few
David Tennant
Doctor Who
very
fans that
concerned.
finds Midnight not scary. I just get. I just don't find
When
it
the Doctor visits
episode,
the resort planet Midnight, a shuttle trip is scuppered by a breakdown and the emergence of a bodiless entity which repeats everything anyone says.
That's impossible.
But that's impossible. I couldn't repeat.
So I guess the monster is a little bit scary.
She's driving me mad.
What sounds like an annoying playground game becomes very frightening very quickly, and hysteria descends on the Doctor's travelling group. With Leslie Sharp playing a perfect possessed passenger, things get real weird when the entity begins predicting what the Doctor says next.
It killed the driver.
And the mechanic.
And the mechanic.
And now it wants us.
And now it wants us.
Number 6, The Veil. Even the Doctor has nightmares,
The Veil?
and in the penultimate
What's that
episode of Series 9, he's forced to face them on repeat.
Oh, this episode. I try and pretend it never happened.
And I will never, ever stop.
Still reeling from Clara's death, Peter Capaldi's 12 is transported to an isolated castle where, in a trippy turn of events, he suffers life on loop for 2 billion years.
How many seconds? In eternity.
It's just a lot of repetition.
The Veil, a hooded embodiment of the Doctor's greatest fears, relentlessly pursues
I mean,
him
I guess
throughout
the idea
ordeal.
is scary.
It's not quick or especially violent, but it never quits.
It just
Ghostly appearances
the episode has
aside,
so much
being
repetition,
endlessly
I was
followed
like-
by whatever scares you the most is top-level terrifying.
Personally, I think that's a hell of a...
Number 5, The Foretold.
The what?
In classic Doctor
I
Who
don't
fashion,
remember all of these
this
villains.
Series
They're
8
clearly not that
outing
terrifying.
features a famous story rewritten with time travel. The Foretold is villain of the piece, laying waste to a futuristic version of the Orient Express, while the Doctor is tasked with working out why, how, and who's
Oh yeah,
next.
that was actually quite scary. I was just gonna want the mummy.
But this mummy-esque monster can only be seen by the soon-to-be dead. Essentially a 66-second death sentence, its rotting,
I did like
bandaged
that. I didn't know it
body
was called
is
The
the
Foretold. I
last
don't
thing
remember
you'll
the
ever
episode
want
very
to
well.
witness. Place a tension-building timer bottom left of our screens, and heart rates have rarely been so high.
I'm the Doctor and I will be your victim this evening. Are you my
I
mummy?
will be a victim this evening.
Number 4, The Beast.
Yes, now that
To
is
one
one
of
that is
David
scary.
Tennant's most
Finally, something
iconic
I actually
TARDIS
find
adventures,
scary.
and a fight against the devil
That I
himself.
remember.
These are the words of the beast.
Oh my god, this. The Impossible Planet save, it was so good.
The Beast dwells at the centre of
And
an
Rose,
impossibly
good
old
hell.
planet, raging to be set upon the universe. And while its form remains unknown for much of this two-parter, it infiltrates a deep space exploration crew, possessing a crew member and a legion of Ood.
In the
That's not the Ood. Something's talking through them.
only the darkness remains.
Tennant's 10th Time Lord does get a glimpse of the monster itself, however, for a fiery face-off and an epic speech.
You're going into that black hole.
And I'm riding with you.
I know, let's be fair.
Brought to life by Gabriel Wolf's booming vocals, the Beast brought Satan to Saturday night TV. Number 3,
That's a great
The
Oh,
Empty
no, this should be
Child.
first. This should be first. This is proper Friday. He's my scariest to me.
I don't know.
Maybe Weepy Game
Next,
was
we
first,
travel
but
to mid-Blitz
Oh my
London,
God.
but the air
It's
raids
so
aren't the
scary.
only concern for worried
this should be at
residents.
least number 2.
The Empty Child is a ghostly, mask-wearing figure forever looking for its mummy.
Are you my mummy?
In terms of danger and aggression, the Doctor has faced plenty more troublesome adversaries in his time,
It was just so
but this
frightening.
character is one of the most harrowing in the show's history. And as nanogenes work to replicate the look, the eeriest of armies is created. Special mention for Captain Jack Harkness. This was his first trip with the Doctor, and he didn't run a mile afterwards.
Thanks for everything, computer. It's been great.
Number 2, The Flood.
Oh yeah, no,
If
actually.
you can't trust the water, then what
Waters
can you
of Mars
trust?
is a
This
terrifying
2009
episode.
special sees the 10th Doctor visit Earth's first Martian colony in
Oh my God,
2059,
no,
during a fixed
no,
point in time
no.
in which it explodes.
Oh, I really should go.
The catalyst for this cataclysm? The water source. A contagious virus known as the Flood gradually infects the crew, turning everyone into saturated zombie-like creatures.
We've got to go.
Their cracked faces and watery complexion, combined with a crazed
Proper
look and
frightening.
evolving intelligence, makes for a monster even the Doctor cannot defeat, no matter how far he bends the rules.
We're safe. It's hermetically sealed. They can't get in.
Water is patient, Adelaide. Water just waits.
Number 1, Weeping Angels.
Yeah. I was thinking
Almost
number
as old as
Angels.
the universe itself, the Weeping Angels take
They
today's
got kind of
terrifying
less
crown, even though
terrifying
they
by
rarely
season
kill their
7,
victims.
but like Blink was just oh my god. And season 5
That would be a
was very
waste of
terrifying.
time energy. Instead, they transport their targets to the past, leaving them to live out their existence elsewhere.
No, I don't want to see Rory. Come on.
Gravestone here for someone with the same name as me.
What?
And
Too
nothing
much.
is deadlier, stealthier, or more disturbing than an angel in pursuit. Time-locked as statues whenever they're observed, turn away for a millisecond and they're at your throat. The angels aren't the Doctor's only statuesque enemy, but they're hands down the scariest. Just ask the 1930s New York tourist board.
You gotta be kidding me.
Statue of Liberty.
Do you
is
agree
a
with our
weeping
picks? Check out these other great-
Hope you guys like that. Please don't be offended, by the way, by my opinions there. You know, I love Doctor Who. I love Doctor Who, but I am very critical of it as a fan, and so there are some episodes that may seem like favourites, like Midnight, for instance. I have never liked the episode Midnight. I am very much in the minority. I've never liked it. So I guess the idea of it is, you know, some of these monsters on the list, the idea of it is terrifying, but then when I watched the episode I didn't find them so scary. So, but yeah, obviously everyone has different opinions, because otherwise if everyone had the same opinion, it would make for very, very boring conversation. So yeah, I loved it. I think The Order was good, actually. Yeah, Empty Child, like when I think of the flood and Waters of Mars, yeah, that was really terrifying. So yeah, hope you guys like that. Let me know how you feel about the list as a Doctor Who fan, if any of you Whovians are out there. And yeah, if you want me to react to anything else, please put it in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe.